basic AutoCAD for 21st century learners tutorials. The following videos are open to anyone at any level, maybe CAD enthusiasts, would-be CAD operators, or even novice users. You may use this as your guide in discovering or exploring AutoCAD as software as tool in developing your CAD projects. Introduction to CAD and AutoCAD software, some of the basic draw commands, as well as modify commands are comprehensively discussed in the presentation. You can play and pause the videos to furtherly understand the lesson. And don't forget to perform the tasks relevant to the lessons which will be shown after every video tutorial. This would be supplementary activities in enhancing and mastering your skills. Allow me to introduce you in CAD operation, most especially in using AutoCAD as software in starting and creating your design is the content of the lesson 1 of the video tutorials. It mainly talks about what is CAD and its role in design industry, overview about AutoCAD as software that includes the history, the pros and cons using the software, its AutoCAD graphics window or the interface, its special keys, the status bar toggles and its function keys, the AutoCAD Coordinate Systems applying line command as well.
When a command prompts you for a point, you can use the pointing device to specify the point, or you can enter its coordinates by typing the coordinate values in the command window or in the tooltip near the cursor when dynamic input is turned on. Given this simple problem can be solved in varied ways in plotting the points in the drawing area or space using line as draw command. Meron tayong tinatawag na Cartesian Coordinate System. A Cartesian Coordinate System has 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. When you enter coordinate values, you indicate a point's distance and its direction, positive or negative, along the X and Y and Z axis relative to the coordinate system origin, 0, 0, 0. In 2D, you specify points on the XY plane, also called the work plane. The work plane is similar to a flat sheet of grid paper. The X value of a Cartesian coordinate specifies horizontal distance, and the Y value specifies vertical distance. The origin point 0, 0 indicates where the two axes intersect. Polar coordinate system. Polar coordinates use a distance and an angle to locate a point. With both Cartesian and polar coordinates, you can enter absolute coordinates based on the origin or 0, 0, or relative coordinates based on the last point specified, and the direct distance entry, another method of specifying a point by moving the cursor to indicate a direction, and then entering a distance. Note, coordinates and distances are always measured in units, which do not represent any specific type of units such as millimeters or inches. Before you start, you decide what distance one unit will represent in the drawing. Through the use of units command, you can now decide what unit of measurement you will be using in creating your drawings. You can enter coordinates in scientific, decimal, engineering, architectural, or fractional notation. You can enter angles in grads, radians, surveyor's units, or degrees, minutes, and seconds. The units command control the unit format. Coordinates normally reference a movable user coordinate system, or the UCS, rather than the Fixed World Coordinate System, WCS. By default, the UCS and WCS are coincident. Sa Cartesian Coordinate System, ay may tinatawag tayong Absolute Cartesian Coordinate at Relative Cartesian Coordinate. Absolute Cartesian Coordinates ay nakabase sa UCS origin 0, 0, which is the intersection of the X and Y axis. Gamitin ang absolute coordinates kung alam natin ang precise X and Y values of the point as given in this example. In the example, I made a visual representation of the Cartesian or work plane para makita natin kung paano nag-arrive sa mga coordinates na ipinapakita sa drawing area. Gamit ang format na X, Y, you can plot the points in the work plane. With dynamic input, you specify absolute coordinates with the hashtag or number sign prefix. If you enter coordinates on the command line instead of in the tooltip, The hashtag or number sign prefix is not used, at para maging safe tayo in attaining the exact location, you can off the dynamic input in the status bar or just press F12 key to off it. Let's duplicate this drawing by entering the following absolute coordinate values as shown in the example. But let us move first the UCS icon to change the origin of the coordinate plane. Left click the icon, pick it using again the left button, then move the mouse to move the UCS icon and left click again to your desired location. Gamitin natin ang line command to execute the problem. Kapag sinabi nating line command, ito ay ginagamit to create a straight line segment. Gamit ang line command, you can create a series of contiguous line segments na ang bawat segment ay linya na maaaring i-edit na hindi naapektuhan ang karatig o kadugtong na linya. And now, using absolute Cartesian Coordinate System, we need to enter the first point. Say, let's start creating a line in the coordinate 0, 0 or at the origin gamit ang XY format. Type the absolute values 0, 0 and hit enter or spacebar key. Then, next point is in the coordinate 0, 0. 0 as its X and 6 as its Y. Press again enter or spacebar key. Continue solving by typing the values 3, 6, enter it. Next, 3, 3, enter again. Next is 8, 0, and enter, and lastly, typing the values 0, 0 again as the last point of the drawing and pressing again the enter spacebar key. And hit escape key to end the command. Kung alam lang naman natin ang absolute coordinate values of the points, maaari nating gamitin ang absolute Cartesian Coordinate Systems in preparing your drawing in AutoCAD Workspace. Relative Cartesian coordinates are based on the last point entered. Use relative coordinates when you know the location of a point in relation to the previous point. To specify relative coordinates, precede the coordinate values with an @ sign. Use at x, y in plotting the points. The following example draws the sides of a regular polygon having 5 sides. The first side ay linya na nagsimula sa absolute coordinates 0, 0 or at the origin of the work plane and ending at a point of 0 units in the x direction and 6 units in the y direction, na kung saan this point is relative to the first point of this line. So when we say relative polar coordinates, kailangan alamin natin ang mga coordinates where the previous point serves now as the origin for the succeeding point as shown in the example, gamit ang ginawa kong visual representation of the Cartesian or work plane. In doing that, we need to type at and the coordinate values 0, 6 in hit enter or spacebar key. Ang pangalawang side ay linya na nagsimula at the end point of the first line and ending at 8.3 units in the x direction and 0 units in the y direction. And it explains that the origin moves at the previous point to become as the new origin for the next point. By that, type again at and the values 3, 0 and enter it to solve it. Do it again to plot other points. Type at 0, -3 and enter it that is relevant to the previous point. Next, type at 5, -3 that is also relative sa kakatapos pa lang nating point or kakaplot nating point. To connect and complete the drawing, you can type the absolute coordinate values 0, 0 or typing the relative coordinate values at -8, 0 and enter it. Let us move the UCS icon. Left click the icon, pick it using again the left button, then move the mouse to move the UCS icon and left click again to your desired location. And do this irregular shape using the following relative coordinate values na kanina ay pinag-usapan natin. Start with absolute coordinate values and followed by other relative coordinate values. So that's it. So that's the concept of using relative Cartesian coordinate. If you know the location of a point in relation to the previous point, then you can use this coordinate system.